start video button.
There you go.
There you go. All the lads. The official biography as penned by Simon Young. 30 years of the coalface of rock.
Yeah.
That's the one.
It's strange to think a year ago we were having interviews around about this time in the morning.
My God, that was nearly a year ago. That's insane. That seems like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's here drilling and hammering.
That's right. The odd interjection from your builders, Simon coming in, wanting to know where your various plumbing fixtures were and stuff.
Yeah. Where's my cup of tea? A year ago. So what's happened in the last year? What's everyone been up to? Any news?
Well, same old.
Yeah.
We've all been lying low.
Yeah. Just cancelling gigs for no reason at all. No explanation.
Well, who wants to go? Who wants to go to Leeds on a wet Monday night now? And just
So last time we talked, we'd spoke about the book, and there was kind of murmurings of working on new material. How many albums have you written in the last few months?
A lot of material. I mean, I had a look the other day of all the bits that we have, because we were working on 12 songs up in Derby at Abbey Lane Studios before this all hit. And then we've been sending each other the other stuff the other day. And I put them all down in a list to see how many songs we will have if we finish. And there's 26.
Right.
26 tunes if we get them up. Yeah. Because there was 12 that we worked on, and then Neil sent through songs, Michael sent through songs, I've sent them songs. So I just sat down and said, right, we've got to work on these before we go into the studio. So I wrote them down on a piece of paper. There's 26. So if we get them all done, which I hope we will, that'll either be a double album or it'll be plenty of stuff in the bank for later on.
Excellent.
It's amazing. I didn't realize it was so much, Andy. That was brilliant writing it down, because we just, as Andy says, Simon, we were just been chipping away, and sometimes you don't really take stock of it all. But that's a good place to be going into 2021. Amazing. Well,
any surprises that
there are another thing, because Neil wrote a few bits in the last album too, like riffs.
Yeah.
And what's brilliant when Neil writes stuff, he writes it on is it a synthesizer or a keyboard, Neil? And is it a distorted guitar setting?
Yeah, it's just one of those sort of generic guitar sounds, which to be totally blunt about it isn't that great, but it just it's I suppose it's just really rhythmic. And obviously from my end, I don't play guitar, so it's like a rhythm thing, really. I suppose that's the way I'm looking at it. But yeah, bless Andy, because he obviously it lands in his inbox and he goes, Jesus Christ, what's this?
I like it because it makes me play it a different way, because it's like it's got a character to it. It's got like almost a hiccup on it. And whenever I try and play it, because I'm not, if you just sent me a guitar riff, I just copy the guitar riff. But because you're sending that keyboard riff, there's a strange kind of delivery in it that I'm trying to copy. So it makes me play the guitar a different way. Which is if I was just sent a guitar riff, I just copy the power chords or whatever. So I'm really enjoying that. And Michael's been sending lots of really, really fantastic riffs. And I've just been doing the general poppy bits adding sort of poppy choruses and stuff like that. I think the material's amazing. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good hooks. Everything's got good hooks. Like the drum patterns are, memorable. The air drumming, that's always a good one to think of. And good catchy riffs, but also like catchy melodies and good vocal hooks as well. So it's kind of, I think, if you can get all those kind of things memorable, it makes for a really strong record. So we're kind of just developing all those and pushing them, just making things as punchy and as effective as possible, and this is obviously we'll be bringing a producer in and stuff as well. So we kind of, they'll be able to help us refine it a bit as well. So it's exciting to have all those kind of elements in play.
I think as well, it's brilliant just with everything that's going on and the fact that we've had to down tools. to still be chipping away, I think, for our sort of mental health, I think it's a great thing. But also just looking forward to what's going on next year. At some point for us to get together and have all this stuff to kick about and see what works when the three of us are in a room. I think that's just really, it's something to, look forward to, often you can go in a rehearsal room and you start writing, you kind of look at each other, okay, so what have we got? But at least we've got something to kind of really get our teeth into straight away, which is really exciting for me. I think, I'm really looking forward to next year now.
Yeah, Andy, don't forget your list.
Bring
that list.
I've now got 3 volumes. It's like literally got in my concrete man shed bunker of shame. There's actually 3 file blocks of stuff that we've been working on since February, and it's just sitting there. And it's like every time I get an idea, I put it down and I catalog it into the song it's relevant to. And then if we mention, oh, this should be a little bit like the Melvins or a little bit like Black Flag, there's the relevant track by Black Flag so that whenever we're in rehearsals, I think we found it off the My War album.
That's what we want. I love it. Yeah, don't forget the folders.
Don't bring the wrong list, because we're starting with a song called Milk, followed by Eggs. If memory serves, when you wrote the riffs on the synthesizer last time, didn't you go into a local library to concentrate on the stuff? With lockdown, where have you been working this time?
Well, yeah, our front room has just been turned into my wife. She's working from home as well, so it's like a split thing. She has certain hours doing the office, and then I'm in on, with my electronic drum kit, my little synthesizer. Yeah. But the last thing, I ended up in the library just to get some peace and quiet from the kids. Right. So I'd sit there with my tiny keyboard and my headphones. And it's brilliant. In Derby Library, they've got like a little area where you can go and do all your laptop stuff. And so I just sit in the corner and just be banging away on the desk.
2 synthesizers, a curry, a cape.
Yeah. Went proper Wakeman on it.
Right. Fantastic. Michael, you've been having a good sort through your classic metal albums during lockdown. I remember being sent pictures of piles and piles of vinyl. Has this bled into your song ideas this time?
I don't think so, but I think maybe subconsciously, probably going back and revisiting those, you kind of appreciate the art of songwriting. Those early Judas Priest albums, and the Sabbath stuff. And I was actually went through a bit of a Gary Moore phase there the other day, and it's all very song based. It goes back to the hooks thing. Now, obviously, we're not going to make a record that sounds like a Gary Moore album from 1979. That would be madness. But there's certain elements, good riffs, good hooks, energy, rhythmic stuff. And actually, I was listening to Rush, quite a bit of Rush the other day, and it was nice because I think Rush kind of get that thing of rhythmically quite busy and stuff, but there's kind of a mid period where Rush got to where there's a really good groove, like moving pictures kind of onwards, but also with those clever accents and things. And I think stuff like that, done therapy style, is really good, where it keeps the groove, but there's also like offbeats and inventiveness and stuff like that. So if you can kind of, in my head anyway, if you incorporate that with kind of really good classic songwriting, it's really interesting and powerful to listen to. So I wouldn't say there's any direct influence, but maybe subconsciously it's like, what makes these records exciting to listen to? What makes a 35-minute album really make you want to play it again and again and again? And, I think that even harks to, what we did with Trouble Gum and what we did with Cleve last year and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah. Going back to Rush, do you ever see yourself investing in a Taurus foot pedal to blast out some sort of keyboard style arrangements during the songs?
No, I don't. Yeah, exactly, Andy. They're very, very overpriced.
$3,000 or something like that.
$3,000.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
A drop in the ocean.
I suppose you could just. I'm sure there's like a sampler, a Roland sampler pedal or something like that now, but it doesn't. But you do need the full gravitas of bringing it on stage at changeover. You know, 3 roadies carrying it on, setting it down, you know, plugging it in, you know, having a separate power source, probably on the fritz as well. And then obviously just so you can go at one point during your 90-minute set. That's decadence, Simon.
Excellent. You could just lie on the whole thing and have a sort of drone interlude. So about 6 or 7 weeks ago, it was the 16th anniversary of Never Apologise, Never Explain. It's obviously touched on in this book, which is now available from Jawbone Press and all good book retailers. But could you tell us about your memories about working at the Parkgate Studios?
Yeah, Parkgate was good. I mean, we had a bit of time as well in Stanbridge Farm before that as well, didn't we, folks?
Is that where the Cure were?
Well, that's where the Cure were, yeah. And I really, really love that place. I don't even know if it still exists. It used to be really, really big in the 90s, where if you were writing material, especially with major record labels, they would send the band down to Stanbridge Farm. It was an old country house with a swimming pool, and it had a staff there that made your food and lots of really nice bedrooms. But it had amazing sort of live room stroke studio, and it's meant for rehearsing. And there's something about getting up in your slippers and tracksuit bottoms in the morning and heading over to the rehearsal room before you've even had your breakfast, just to bash stuff out, which I like. So that we were a 3-piece again as well at this point. So by the time we got to Parkgate, the songs had been written, the songs had been rehearsed. All we had, it was quite an easy, I wouldn't say easy, because we only had that classic thing. We only had 2 weeks. We'd spent all this money going to Stanbridge Farm.
Right.
So then we were told before we went into the studio, you've only got 2 weeks in the studio. So Pete Bartlett, the producer, had pretty much a timetable that said, right, drums, guitar, bass, and we have to get it all done today. So that was quite stressful, but it gave the record a nervous energy, I think. But I do remember, because it was all written and because it was all rehearsed, it was really, really good fun. The only thing was, it was very, very much, it has to be all in on time.
Yeah. I mean, were there times when you thought that the album might not be finished on time, or have
not
to
with
drop
this,
some?
not with this one. I mean, this one was fine. The one for the previous one we did at Parkgate, High Anxiety, at one point it was dreadful because we had 3 days to go and we had to finish 2.5 songs. This one was on time. The only thing was, I think Pete had to be somewhere. So the last 3 or 4 days, he had one eye on the clock and one suitcase in the hall. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like we were all on such a tight schedule.
Yeah.
But you know, we did do the work, and there wasn't any point where any of us shied off our responsibilities. It was all done, but it was done very, very quickly. I just remember it was such an intense experience.
Excellent.
I remember it was hot as well when we were recording.
Oh yeah.
It was really hot. I remember there was a lot of, I can't remember where the air conditioning in the studio was broken, but remember you were in that weird, between the 2 doors, Andy, that vocal booth, which was like a sweat box.
Yeah. He had this thing about, Pete thought that I was like Alice Cooper. He thought I sounded and I had the same attitude as Alice Cooper, which I laughed at the time. But being a fan of early Alice Cooper, I can kind of see where he's getting at vibe-wise. It's that kind of not what you call a classic singer, but a bit fucking creepy. And I think what he wanted to do was he put me in a cupboard because it said it made the vocals sound even more claustrophobic and creepy.
Right.
But you can imagine, I think this was July, August, and it was literally a cupboard with an SM57 mic with me going, and it would be times that I remember one time he went off, somebody came in and said, "There's a phone call for you, Pete." and I was like, how was that?
Buried live.
I once went to, you know, those pods you get, the immersion things, what do you call them, the new age things,
like
flotation tank.
In the 90s I tried one of those ones because I went to the doctor and I had problems sleeping, and hey, you should really try a flotation tank. And I went to one that was a great, at no small expense, I might add. And I used to wear contact lenses. and I went into one of those, and it was lukewarm water, and you float in it, and they pipe in all this new age music, and they shut the shell. And as soon as they shut the shell, I don't like it. But the same thing happened. The guy at the desk was fucked off, right? And there was a button you were meant to press, and I was pressing this button, go, give me. And then there was salty water that splashed into my contact lenses. So my contact lenses were stinging like fuck. And I was punching this, like, oh, give me. And the guy came and got me. And that's what the vocals for Never Apologise. A couple of times it reminded me of that incident.
So you've recorded a song, Not in a Cupboard, during lockdown. You've done a Rise Up for sort of part of your isolation recordings. Should we gracefully seek into that clip, and we'll come back in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And that was Rise Up, Make Yourself Well from the album Never Apologise, Never Explain. Does it get easier recording in isolation? Have you got it down to a fine art now? You've done it.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a plan now, haven't we? So yeah, kind of, it's far easier than it was. I suppose we just kind of do. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Is the answer.
Yeah. I suppose the trial and error. And there was lots of error element has gone out of it. And we've kind of, with regard to the audio and stuff, I've kind of got a template now that I know, what bit fits where, and, the effects, kind of compressions and stuff for the drums and guitars and vocals. So that's a little bit easier. But it was good. It was interesting going back because we haven't probably played Rise Up, especially in a long time. So going back and relearning that, and then getting under the bonnet of the record, and there's some different bass effects and things that I had to kind of figure out how to do without those effects. at home,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it was yeah, it was good. It was good. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it, but I think they come out really well. Obviously, as Andy said, having been kind of written and rehearsed very much live at Stanbridge Farm, and then kind of recorded it live, they kind of there's a good bit of space in the original recordings anyway. There's not like lots of layers and stuff on it, so it was these ones were quite good to revisit, I thought, anyway.
Excellent. When you stayed at Parkgate as a trio, was I think it was the first album, Neil, that you were there's rumors that Cradle of Filth had been visited by a patient from the local hospital in the middle of the night, and you'd barricaded yourself in. The first time you went there, were you a bit more casual about security concerns this time?
I just made sure I went to one of the rooms that had a lock.
Right.
What it was, my door just didn't lock. So my door was just open. I was kind of like, what? And I've just heard this story of one of Cradle of Filth waking up with someone in the room who was kind of in a gown and had kind of got out of some, yeah. So yeah, I was kind of obviously very aware of that to make sure I could lock my door. Yeah. Get some sleep.
Yeah.
So I did sleep on that session, yes.
Right, excellent. You can hear it in the drumming.
Yeah.
If it was June 2004, was it the Euros that year?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. That's right. I mean, they were on television, but I mean, we were trying to watch them, but as Pete Bartlett, he was really, really pushing it, like cracking the whip to get the stuff done. So it would literally be Mike would do a bass part. I'd run into the living room, watch 10 minutes of a game, and go, oh no, and we all say, and it's the same with all of us. And I think with the England games, we managed to watch them. I think it was that the one. Were England in the Euros that year?
I can't remember. It's so long ago.
I think we were allowed to watch one or two games in their entirety, but that
As
was
a treat.
the game.
Yeah.
As a treat, yeah.
Yeah.
Get back in the cupboard. Get back in the cupboard.
If you had the sort of Alice Cooper vibe, did you come out of the cupboard in a sort of creepy way?
I think I come out of anywhere in a creepy way. I just like I answered the door to the postman in the house, looking shell shocked. I'm like, I've never kind of got the hang of this kind of, of sort of making an entrance. I've never been able to sort of like swan down a staircase at an after show party that we played. And even back in the day when we were doing like huge gigs and stuff like that, I never seemed to make a good entrance. You'd have sold out Brixton Academy and there'd be an after show, and that there'd be other people in bands and maybe some soap stars or whatever in the backstage area, and lots of people, friends like yourself, and I never seemed to be able to. I mean, I remember going to see the Manics once,
yeah,
and they sort of all came in en masse. Richie with his leopard skin collar turned up, and I saw the Foo Fighters, and they walked in as if like they were straight out of a beach on California. And we kind of stumble in, like it looks as if our coats are on back to front, and especially me, it's almost like, they've sent the roadies out. When's the band coming out?
So for the second Never Apologise lockdown session, you've done Polar Bear. Could you talk us through that track, please?
Yeah, Polar Bear was one we'd written up in Derby. I think we rehearsed it out there, and it was good. It was kind of Andy this really great riff, and me and Neil just kind of locked in with it, and we kind of pretty much the finished version is not that far away from kind of the original jam. It's basically just I suppose like a lesson in dynamics, things dropping in, dropping out, just things kind of toughening up a little bit, and it was just one of those ones that just felt really, really good to play. And then when we got down to Stanbridge Farm with Pete to do the pre-production, Pete was like, well, it's brilliant. Why would you change it? And we were going, oh, you don't need this section. He goes, no, it's kind of repetitive. It's it's the whole thing is about the polar bear, that repetition locked in a zoo type thing, kind of repeating stuff over and over. And he said it's kind of like a locked groove, what you're playing itself. So it was just a kind of a thing of dynamics. And it was a really interesting track to play live on that tour, and then when we played it later, because I think people really reacted to it well, because it kind of started off quite gentle, and then it would build and build and build. So it was a very bit of a showstopper, you know, a really good one to play. And I think a lot of that was due to the fact that it was written in such a nice, natural, you know, just a band playing off each other and the way it all kind of sat when we actually got it recorded. And Pete did an interesting thing as well on the record. I've actually tried to redo it on this version. When that big chord kicks in,
yeah,
on the mastering, it jumps up quite a few decibels. So the actual start of the song is a lot quieter than the rest of the album, and then it just jumps up, and then it gets quite exaggerated. And that was just another little it goes to 11 type trick, a final push over the cliff. But yeah, so there's a lot of attention paid to the dynamics of it, which I think makes the song breathe quite a bit more than you would imagine initially.
Yeah,
I think as well with that, it was one of those ones where when we were putting it together in the rehearsal room as a 3-piece, it sort of really, I think, almost emphasized that. It was like we were sort of almost like pulling in different directions, but it just works together. It's that kind of riff with the sort of tribally sort of groove, the repetition, the sort of bass and the drums kind of really lock in. And I think, like Michael was saying, just the building and the building and the building. The one thing we did, which on the rehearsal tapes, was it does, it speeds up at the end as it's getting more frantic, I suppose. And that was one thing that we said with Pete, which was quite funny in the studio. Producers always want you to play to a click track and keep it nice and steady, makes their life easier if they need to edit anything and this and the other. And we kind of said, well, we did want it to actually speed up at the end. And I remember Pete being quite shocked. You want it to actually speed up? I was going, well, yeah, it'd be fine. It'd be fine. What? Without a click track? And he was going, well, I'll get the click track and I'll speed the click track up. And I was going, no. I'll just speed up. I'll just play faster. I'll play it faster. And I always remember that. So it's like got to click up to a certain point and then the click drops out. And he was genuinely freaked out by that. He was like, but you're flying solo at that point. I said, yeah, it'll be fine. It will be fine. Trust me. I speed up all the time. It'll be fine.
I'm an expert in speeding up.
You need it speeded up. I'm your man.
Did you do this song in a cupboard, Andy?
I think we did, yeah. I think most of them, just looking at, I think most of them were done in that cupboard, because it was that kind of thing where, and I don't do this anymore, but it was like music done, drums done, bass done, guitars done, and then the last 4 or 5 days were all vocals, which is mad, because if you lose your voice, then you're up Shite Street. But we did this, and thankfully I didn't lose my voice, but it was the vocals were all done at the end in one stint, so it was hours in that cupboard.
Yeah. Live, is it one of those riffs that you could play for an hour if it didn't push the patience of the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, as Neil touched on earlier and Michael touched on, it goes down really, really well with the punters. And on paper, whenever I was writing it, the riff, I wanted to write something like Shellac, I suppose. And the reason why is it just got a new guitar, it got an SGX, and it was a lot more metallic and organic sounding than a normal SGX. And it got a little practice amp. And whenever I set up the guitar, the first thing happened, I played it and it sounded like Steve Albini's guitar in Shellac, which is really hard tone to get. So I tried to write a Shellac riff, come up with a Polar Bear riff. And it's just really, really good fun to play. It's especially whenever it hits into that groove. It's like something off kind of mid-period Black Flag, whenever it's all full on, like something off My War or something off In My Head. But yeah, I mean, I think as well as Michael talks on the dynamics, that whenever we play it and we remember to keep it sort of slightly lower and quieter at the start and then really fly off the end, that's when the crowd absolutely loves it. And it's brilliant. It's really it's like Potato Junkie and stuff like that. If you've got quite simple, almost boneheaded riffs, you could play them all day. I mean, whenever Jimmy Page wrote A Whole Lot of Love, I'd imagine all he did for the next 2 weeks around his country pile was walk around the house playing that riff.
Shouting out the singles positions that week.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's have a watch and a listen. polar bear from the what we'll now call the Never Apologise Never Explain lockdown sessions. Do you have any more plans to record therapy staples, while we're confined to barracks?
I think it's something we'll have to do, really. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think now we've got the process up and we're kind of, things are ticking along quite good. And, we've been working on the new stuff in between. Yeah, so it'll definitely might be good. Probably not this side of Christmas, so I would imagine. But yeah, definitely into 2021. I think, we have yet again rescheduled all those dates from this year. So that's penciled in, and hopefully it's the final time we will have to move them. But they start like October of 2021. So that's kind of the next main batch of us being on tour. And I suppose then obviously we've actually got a few festivals in for the summer as well, and a couple of ones which were meant to be this year now moved forward. And then we've got I can actually say it because this is going out after it's announced. We're doing Steelhouse Festival in Wales in the UK, and that's a new one that's come in. So that there's obviously a confidence with promoters and festival organisers and things like that things will be happening over the summer. So that's that's brilliant. Cannot wait to get back out there and play Polar Bear for 50 minutes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Are there any plans to, like, if the lockdown restrictions ease to any degree, are there any plans to go in the studio? Because I know Mogwai have recorded their album that's out in February, socially distanced in the studio and taking care of the way they do things. Is that on the cards in the next 6 months while you're kind of off the road?
I mean, if lockdown restrictions are eased, then by all means, if we're happy with the songs, we will go into a rehearsal studio, followed by a recording studio as quickly as we can in the new year. So we definitely won't be in a recording studio before Christmas, but if things go well, then we're looking at hopefully as early as possible in the new year.
What metal Christmas songs get you in the mood for the big day? I'll look at you, Michael, first.
Well, there's obviously the King Diamond classic, "No Presents for Christmas," which is the best Christmas song of all time. Obviously,
with the most evil sleeve as well.
Yeah, it's him with all the tinsel and stuff. It's really low budget looking. It looks like an outtake from a crying Christmas special photo shoot, doesn't it?
Might have been, to be honest.
It's well ropey. I love "Merry Christmas Everybody" by Slade. I think that's a bit of a classic. I'm not a huge fan of metalled up Christmassy type songs. I like the classics like "Silent Night" and stuff like that. They're all original versions are it's very haunting, quite sad. quite bleak sounding, some of them.
Yeah.
Just put on "Silent Night," sit there weeping.
Praying for silence.
I tell you what's strange though. I saw Noddy Holder singing a non-Christmas song on a telly clip, and it was really weird to see him not shouting about Christianity or gift giving. It was just a normal song, and I was like, "Something's 2020. It's gone weird." Yeah. What about films? We'll end on a favorite sort of Christmas films, and you can say Die Hard because that is a Christmas film, and I'll fight anyone who says it isn't.
Gremlins. I like Gremlins.
Gremlins, yes.
It's a good Christmas one, and I think my boys are old enough to maybe dip into it this year. I'll have to maybe veto some of the language, but yeah, that might be a good one to check out. But yeah, all the classic. I will watch anything Christmas related over those.
Home Alone's good for the kids.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Home Alone, yeah.
Elf with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Whenever my son Jonah was really little, that was his favorite one. I think he puts maple syrup on everything. Will Ferrell. I really like that. So even though he's grown up now and not at home anymore, my wife and me always watch it every Christmas because it reminds me of when he was little.
It's brilliant. That scene where he pours the syrup and everything, he was doing it for real, and he got really bad headaches after that shoot.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Hope you find your Ted. Excellent. So, what can we do to see the back end of this terrible, terrible year, which had good moments? Now available on jawbonepress.com. Nice. I like the display you've got in the back as well, Michael.
You like that?
Set dressing.
This is like the ultimate gift package for any loved one in your life. I mean, nothing says I love you, great Aunt Maud, more than a Therapy Greatest Hits 2020 on vinyl and Simon Young, So Much for 20-Year Plan.
Yeah.
Actually, here's an interesting one. There's actually finally a vinyl reissue of Troublegum coming out start of 2021. So that's
already
that's
a good start. Yeah.
That's a good start of the year. So I think there's a pre-order for it up now. It's through Music on Vinyl. We did The Nurse vinyl reissue in 2016. So it should be a nice little package. We're not really involved in it, but it's just great. They've licensed it from Universal, who own the album and stuff. But it'll be good because it's long overdue, and I know a lot of people have been, looking for a vinyl reissue for a long time. So it's that should be good. So that's something to put on some things to look forward to in 2021, as well as hopefully the return of live music and meeting up with your friends and family and stuff like that. So yes, maybe.
Yeah, we'll speak again very soon.
Yeah, lovely.
Take care.
Nice one, guys.
Take care.
Bye.